Australia is big, and so are its railways, covering the nation with 31,000 miles of track. Picturesque? Yes. But majestic though the steam locomotive is, it has all but given way to diesel-electric power, and this is the train of today. Diesels are more powerful, use less fuel, and are much easier to service. All over Australia, night and day, hundreds of trains are on the move, picking up, hauling and delivering freight. Moving huge loads over vast distances is something railways do superbly well. The engines of 15 big motor lorries equal the power of one average diesel locomotive, and it would need a lot of lorries to move the 80 million tons of freight which the government systems carry in a year. The importance of the railways in keeping the country moving is clear. They move primary products, raw materials, processed materials, manufactured goods, livestock to markets on a scale that would be impossible to organize any other way. And the contribution rail makes to the economy of the nation is beyond calculation. Much of the agricultural produce that is hauled to the seaports and commodities such as coal, iron ore and nickel concentrates are sold to other countries. And so railways contribute to an export trade that helps keep Australia prosperous. Coal for export, loaded at the rate of 2,000 tons an hour. This coal train is the longest and heaviest of any government system in Australia. It's nearly 3/4 of a mile long. Salt, taken from Lake Lefroy in Western Australia, is exported to Japan. Nickel ore, railed from Kambalda in Western Australia, is refined at Kwinana, the site of an industrial complex 15 miles south of Fremantle. One of the most modern installations for handling freight operates at Western Australia's Kewdale Freight Terminal. Trolleys are moved by a chain conveyor system under the floor between the many loading platforms. In addition to its fast freight services, capable of handling anything from complete train loads, giant 200-ton single lifts to the smallest parcel, the railways of Australia have many celebrated long-distance passenger expresses, all air-conditioned and luxurious in comfort. Trains like the Overland, Trans-Australian, Sunlander, Southern Aurora, and the Indian Pacific. New standards of service and comfort have been provided for the thousands of local and overseas passengers. Station terminal facilities too have been modernized. A staff of almost 120,000 carries out the multitude of tasks involved in running a modern railway system. Almost every trade and profession is represented. The control room is a monitor for supervising rail movements involving 80,000 freight wagons and 7,000 passenger carriages.
How is 5B running?
Australia's railways have a safety record second to none. Vigilance control is a system designed to ensure the safety of a train at all times. The driver or the observer presses a button regularly. If he doesn't, a warning sounds, and then the brakes are applied automatically. With a diesel locomotive fleet of nearly 1,500 units, the railways protect this huge capital investment by regular tests, which also prevent breakdowns whilst in service. Nothing is left to chance in any of the operations. In well-equipped laboratories, chemists, engineers and metallurgists are continually experimenting, investigating, analysing and carrying out physical tests of all kinds. Samples of oil are taken from every locomotive. From analysis by a spectrograph, several deductions can be made, whether bearings are beginning to deteriorate or cylinders or piston rings are showing wear. Cleaning and servicing is an around-the-clock operation. A vast marshalling yard, which includes a hump for gravity shunting, is new to the Australian scene. Instead of conventional shunting, freight trains to be marshalled are run up a ramp and the wagons uncoupled. Wagons roll down the hump and are automatically sent into various sorting sidings. The installation was costly, but it pays off in efficiency. Travelling in comfort is more than adjustable cushioned seats and deep mattresses for sleeping. So much attention is given to springs and suspension systems to improve the riding qualities of passenger carriages. Sound-absorbing material is laid under floors. Insulation against temperature and noise is sandwiched between outer and inner walls, and windows are double glazed for the same purpose. The Indian Pacific, so named because it spans the continent from the Indian to the Pacific Oceans, is a streamliner of gleaming stainless steel. On the vast Nullarbor Plain lies the longest straight stretch of track in the world, 297 miles without a curve. The run from Sydney to Perth, 2,461 miles, passing through Port Augusta, is one of the great rail journeys of the world. By any standards, the Indian Pacific is a luxurious train that makes this fascinating coast-to-coast trip a memorable experience. Kalgoorlie, scene of the fabulous Golden Mile, reigned as the centre of gold production for more than 3/4 of a century. Today, the magic metal is nickel. Perth, and people are much the same everywhere. People whose needs are served in many ways by rail transport. These new air-conditioned trains for the Perth-Kalgoorlie run are the fastest in Australia. Many of Australia's mainline expresses provide private rooms, deluxe suites, club lounge and dining cars, equaling the standards of luxury hotels. Sydney's suburban service is being extended through King's Cross to the densely populated eastern suburbs. Sydney and Melbourne suburban trains carry nearly 1 million people to and from work or school each day. No other means of transport can move so many people in a short time. Recent figures show that 238 million passenger journeys were made in a year in Sydney and 140 million in Melbourne. Total passenger journeys in Australia each year are about 450 million. London's Flinders Street station is one of the busiest in the world. Work is now in progress in Melbourne on Australia's second underground railway. In Brisbane, part of the job for suburban trains is to move thousands of children when school finishes for the day. Because of the growth of capital cities, it is becoming increasingly necessary to transport people from far-out residential districts. Fast, interurban, double-deck, air-conditioned trains are meeting this need. Australia, with an area of nearly 3 million square miles, is a country of enormous distances. And this train travels more than 1,000 miles from Brisbane to Cairns, along Queensland's coastal plain. Railways are Australia's biggest industry, and with over a century of experience, they have played a major role in developing the nation's resources. The capital investment now runs to a staggering $2,000 million, and every year it increases. In the coming years, the railways will apply themselves to the changing needs of patrons and will direct their policies so that they will expand with and complement the progress and prosperity that the future holds. Highways of steel, playing their part in Australia's tomorrow.